Hey, what's going on, guys? Welcome back to the channel. Welcome back to the tournament. So we are currently on round 3, episode 4, or part 4, and it looks like winter is finally upon us. So Thursday morning, one of my handyman finally got him to come back Thursday morning, and my wife back in Texas, there was, I don't know what it was, probably Big K, if I'm guessing, closed down. And so this was, shoot, 10 years ago. Like I said, this was back in Texas. This was a long time ago. When the store was closing down, she went in, bought like all of these pegboards, those long rides with the little tabs. You slide the little hanging tabs, and you have like your figures. You just pull the figures off the little rods and stuff. Well, she got like a million of those things, got pegboards, got these little baskets and stuff. So we had that stuff back in Texas, and for the last 7 years that we've been here in Kentucky, that stuff's just been sitting in our garage. Never could do anything with it. Finally called our handyman that's built a bunch of things for us. Built a lot of my workout equipment, built shelving for me, built our basketball game system, our indoor basketball system, electronic system. So, I mean, man, it's done a lot of great work for us. And last night, or yesterday morning, came in and put up a lot of little pegboards for us. And if you guys came into our garage, so generally on my eBay store or my Mercari, anytime I list something, I wrap everything up, box it up, put a little label on the outside of the box so I know what's inside, and I put in the garage. So you got these stacks. I have a little area for all of LJNs, and I have all my area for grapplers and gimmicks, all my area for zombie sailors, and then I have an area for like my wife's Victoria's Secret clothing and my wife's shoes and whatnot, right? So everything is separated by its own little area and whatnot, but it's like this wall of basically boxes. I mean, it's nicely displayed to the side, so it's out of the area, out of walking area and everything, but it's on the ground. I hate that. So now everything is off the ground. It's off the floor. It's on the wall. And it looks like a legitimate warehouse now. It's on shelves, it's in baskets, and it looks spectacular. Love it. I just gotta clean up a little bit more, organize a little bit more, but it's like 95% complete in there. Looks fantastic. Yeah. So glad that was finally done. And I should have done this a long time ago, because while we were in the I had both garage doors open, and while we were in there getting that stuff taken care of, it started snowing. Now, being from Chicago, I love cold weather. I love snow and whatnot, but that freaking windstorm, I mean, cold is one thing, but that darn wind chill blowing in on your face, I was freezing my ass off. But yeah, it was nice though. Probably 80% of clothing that I own is, cold weather gear, sweaters, and long sleeves and whatnot. So, I mean, I appreciate winter because I can actually wear the clothes I have. Otherwise, I mean, you notice in summertime I'm always wearing long sleeves because, like I said, most of the clothes I have is long sleeve, and I refuse to buy more clothes because it's pointless. I hate my arms anyways, so I always try to keep my arms covered anyways. So anyways, not a whole lot going on. I mean, in the past videos I pretty much talked about what's coming up this over the next couple of weeks or so. So you pretty much have a general idea of what's to be expected. So with that being said, we are going to dive right into today's video. Once again, is round 3, part 4, and after yesterday's video with the elimination of Sid Vicious, I wanted that figure to make it to the semifinals. At the very least, the semifinals, be among the last 5 figures standing, and a 3rd round elimination for a figure like that, this sucks. So I'm really looking forward to getting some more Galoob customs in, because I'm really looking forward to starting the Galoob tournament. And I'm hoping once that Galoob tournament starts, maybe I could finally get my Sid Vicious figure to win a tournament. We shall see. So, today's matchups. Let's kind of squirt these around and see what today's video will entail. From Random Treasures, Dusty Rhodes will be taking on Santa Claus. Well, if I had an inkling that my wife Santa Claus was going to take on the other Santa Claus, that is not going to happen now. Next matchup is going to feature Andre Series 1, and he will take on Marty Jannetty. Next up on the docket, Ken Patera, White Mesh Brutus. And the last matchup is going to feature White Hogan. It's probably a Series 5 white shirt Hogan. How convenient is that? White Hogan will square off against Red Hogan. Wow. Alright guys, let's go ahead and get those figures pulled, and we will begin shortly. Alright, so first matchup is going to feature Santa Claus taking on Dusty Rhodes from Random Treasures. And so 2 Santa Claus figures in this tournament. One was painted by my wife. Obviously, I like this one a little bit more detail. Obviously, because of some of the additional benefits that this figure does have. Now, nothing to take away from the one that my wife did. Obviously, she painted it exactly the way that I wanted. Now, the one that my wife did, kind of looking at someone like what Mike Stiers on his YouTube channel, I kind of looked at his figure and I'm like, you know what? Why go out spend $60, $75 on a Hillbilly Jim from his site when I'm like, I got this beat up Hillbilly Jim. Why not practice painting on a pretty destroyed figure? And, you know, my wife, she wanted to work on it, and, you know, she did an awesome job for me. Later on, from Harvey Snuts on Mercari, I bought up a ton of his figures, and I think that this was one of those figures on his site, if I'm not mistaken. And this was an absolute beaut. Now, everything from the built-in cane accessory, the built-in hat, the artwork, the built-in or the colored-on snowflakes. Yeah, this, what I've talked about before, with the Christmas theme mixed in with wrestling, it makes this figure an absolute must-have. And I've talked about, when you look at a lot of these LJNs, when you're comparing a lot of these customizers out there, even when you look at Big Rubber Guys, I say Big Rubber Guys prices are very affordable. Now, even their prices are jumping up. Like, their prices have gone up from like $50 for a figure to like $65. So, even their prices are, I don't want to say becoming unmanageable. Like, it's still fair, but this is insanely good. Like, this probably costs like, what, $20? And you go on to these sites and you're paying $95 for a Hillbilly Jim figure, and all they're doing is changing the t-shirt to black. Hell, I could probably color a Hillbilly Jim shirt black myself, and I can't paint worth a darn. So, no. Anyone, even anyone with the most limited skill set can buy a $3 Hillbilly Jim figure off of eBay and do their own customization to make a back of the card original prototype Hillbilly Jim if they wanted to. So, or do what I do. Go to someone you trust. Like, I go to Rob because he does a lot of my figures for me, and he does amazing work. And he does not charge me $50 to customize, figures and whatnot. So, but this is one of my favorites, and I kind of look at like Goldberg, right? I don't just look at this as Hillbilly Jim. I also kind of treat this figure as Goldberg because I think about Santa's sleigh. So I kind of look at this figure as threefold. I look at him as a Hillbilly Jim. I look at him as Christmas-themed Santa Claus, and I look at him as Goldberg from the movie Santa's Sleigh. So I kind of even throw him into a Halloween-themed, kind of like horror-based, if you want to. The Candy Cane could technically be a weapon. You could stab somebody's eyeball out that. It could be a weapon if you want to. So this is such a fun and unique figure. I said a Hillbilly Jim technically probably could not win this tournament, but I look at this figure and I'm like, why the heck not? Every time I pick up a Hillbilly Jim figure, I really enjoy utilizing it. I've talked about it in the past. People occasionally have reached out to me like, hey man, you need to start making some like hands-on, like actual wrestling matches. And I just haven't done it because, again, I don't know what the heck I'm doing. Like, it's one thing to like have these wrestling matches when you're a kid, when you're actually sitting down watching wrestling when you're young, and you know the wrestling moves and what they're called and how the wrestlers actually wrestle. But I haven't watched wrestling in such a long time. I don't know what the heck I'm doing, and I just feel awkward as heck if I were to sit down and do it nowadays because I don't know how they wrestle anymore. It's unfamiliar to me. So, but like if I wanted to, like Hillbilly Jim would be like such a fun character. So this figure actually means a whole lot more than I give him credit. So it's not a simple Hillbilly Jim versus Dusty Rhodes, and Dusty Rhodes is, by all accounts, a more perfect Random Treasures figure. I mean, I still say Zeus is #1 best Random Treasures exclusive, no doubt. But if for those fans who say, well, maybe Zeus isn't #1, who do you put right behind Zeus? Or who do you put over Zeus if he is not #1? Dusty Rhodes really has to be next in line for the next most perfect Random Treasures figure. I mean, the pose is nearly perfect. I mean, if the left arm was out a little bit more, I mean, he is almost Hulk Hogan-esque, Series 1, with his pose. If the arm was up a little bit more, he would be almost Hulk Hogan-esque. I like the belly, obviously. If the legs were bent like the Series 1 Hogan, that would give him that nice to-be body slam pose I really covet. The overall look and aesthetics of the figure is incredible. Now, Big Rubber Guys, they did a really awesome paint. I really enjoyed their kind of like what you got with Dustin Rhodes Galoob, right? With the boots. So that's something a little bit better. But between the two figures, I think Random Treasures did a far superior job with their Dusty Rhodes figure. So I'm looking at these two figures, and when I drew the names, I really thought Dusty Rhodes, I mean, I didn't think it was a landslide, but I really thought Dusty Rhodes was going to run away with this match. Again, not a landslide, but I thought he was a shoo-in. Now I'm looking at the figures, and I'm like, I don't know anymore. Maybe you are going to see potentially two Santa Claus figures with the capabilities of squaring off against each other in the next round. Now, how ironic would that be if... Well, that's not ironic at all, but... Wrong choice of words. But how messed up would that be if Dusty Rhodes lost to a Hillbilly Jim? Because I just don't think Hillbilly Jim in general, LJN-wise, is a better figure. But I'm looking at these two pieces, and I don't... Somebody's going to shoot me. They're going to come to my house. They're going to shoot me if I don't choose Dusty Rhodes. This is really a cream of the crop figure. Why is this so hard? Dusty Rhodes. I swear to God, when I put them down right now, I was about to say Santa Claus. I was about to say Santa Claus. Oh my God. It was one of those Big John Studd versus Bruiser Brody moments where Big John Studd was about to win the tournament, and right as I was about to say the name Big John Studd, I ended up saying Bruiser Brody. There's still time. I could still choose Santa Claus. No, I will go with I will go with Dusty Rhodes on this one. I don't know if Santa Claus wins this tournament, but that was a whole lot more difficult than I originally thought. And if it was that difficult against a Santa Claus figure, I don't know if Dusty Rhodes actually even makes it out of round 4 at this point. And he is, like I said, he is one of the greatest Ram Treasure figures. So, and I thought he would at least be a 5th round figure. I don't know. Darn, that was tough. Next matchup is going to pin Andre Series 1 against Marty Jannetty. So, we'll start with Marty. Marty Jannetty, it was either good timing or not shady timing. I mean, that's again, bad choice of words. But when Big Rubber Guys came out with their Series 3 figures, obviously you had Ric Flair, and then you had Sergeant Slaughter, and you also came out with Marty Jannetty. Now, with guys like, or with like Grapplers and Gimmicks and Zombie Sailors with their 4.5 Hasbro style figures, and then you look at like Big Rubber Guys with their 8-inch LJN style figures, they go off of licensing. They have to get approval from the estate, either from the families of wrestlers or announcers, stuff like that, right? From people in the business to make their action, to get their likeness, to make their figures. So from the wrestlers themselves or from their families. And when you go through companies like Ram Treasures, they don't have to go through the red tape of getting those licensing agreements because they're simply custom figures. So when Big Rubber Guys came out with Marty Jannetty in Series 3, yes, they got one half of the Rockers, but where's Shawn? So not too long after Marty Jannetty was released, Ram Treasures came out with both Rockers. And that's why I'm like, yes, I can appreciate what these other companies are doing with licensing and giving money back to the families and all that. That's amazing. I will appreciate the hell out of them for that. But at the same time, from a personal point, from a selfish point of view, I also like the fact that, these and Ram Treasures, they are a small business after all. So I can understand that from a small business standpoint, they're not going to have the financial resources to reach out to, these big name brand folks like Shawn Michaels as an example, and try to get these licensing agreements and whatnot. And they're not going to have the reach that someone like a Matt Cardona and from the Major Wrestling Favorite podcast are going to have to be able to market and distribute these products. So obviously, with the amount of money that Matt Cardona has made in wrestling, yes, advertisements and promotions, he financially can afford to have these licensing agreements. I mean, he has that personal relationship with a lot of these folks that he could do that. So being able to put that name on there, Customs, she can avoid any type of lawsuits or anything. So, and like I said, Customs. I could take this Andre the Giant. Again, I personally can't do it because I don't know what the hell I'm doing. But hypothetically, if I was an artist, if I took this Andre the Giant and I painted him up and called him Marty Jannetty and sold him on eBay as Marty Jannetty, nobody's going to come back and sue me for infringement. Why? Because he's a custom figure, right? So, and from Ram Treasures, it operates the same way. It's a custom. So, and Ram Treasures, they did a remarkable job. Ever since I got into LJNs, and in particular, ever since I got into customs, LJN customs, the Rockers were probably the highlight of my custom needs. And getting the figures in were immensely important, and they did not disappoint. Getting Marty and Shawn. Now, Shawn Michaels, I don't think... Did Shawn Michaels make it out of round one? I don't remember Shawn Michaels made it out of round one. If he did, he definitely didn't make it out of round two. I don't think... I have to go back through the notes, but I don't think he made it out of round two. I don't think he even made it out of round one. But seeing Marty Jannetty at least in round three is pretty awesome. And like I said, the outfit I chose for this particular figure was awesome. I could have went with the stock photo, but I wanted something a little bit different. And the pose, not what I would have gone with, but I mean, it's still a very playable, good-looking figure, and I'm glad to have gotten it. Andre the Giant Series 1 is arguably one of, in my opinion, the number 3 greatest LJN figure ever made. Now, at the end of this tournament, I am probably going to redo my top 10 choices. And I'm going to make some very important detachments compared to my first time I did my top 10 countdown. And I'm going to kind of make some very important notes compared to my new top 10. And the funny thing is, when I redo my top 10, like, I might say Andre's number 8, as an example. I'm probably still going to go off of my original list. So, if I redo that list and I say Andre's number 8 best, I'm probably still going to go out whenever I make my videos in the future and say Andre's still number 3. Why? Because I'm still probably going to go off that original first list. But That's because I'm so accustomed to saying Andre number 3 best figure, but I don't know. We'll see what happens when that video was made. When that's gonna happen, more than likely, probably after this tournament is complete. Sometime in December. It'll probably be a longer video, maybe 30 minutes. Again, we'll see what happens when the time comes. I will let you guys know, of course. In terms of color scheme, again, rockers, Marty Jannetty all day. Fighting pose, Andre has one of my all-time favorites. Leg separation, arm separation. What you see here with Andre is absolutely incredible. When I talk about with the ability to be body slam, that right there. That's why I love the separation of the body. I know Andre is going to win this match. I would have loved to have seen Marty go further than 3 rounds. But in his first tournament, to make it 3 rounds, I think was a nice run. But Andre going into round 4 is an awesome run. So in the first two tournaments, I know the first 2 tournaments, in the first round, I always put him up against an inferior figure, like, I don't know, like I always put him against Snuka or Piper or someone like that, I don't know. And he basically got an automatic push into round 2. But based on the way the figures are situated on the shelf, like he always went up against like Big John Studd in round 2 and was always pushed out. So this figure never really got an opportunity for advancement into further rounds. So this blind drawing really gave him an opportunity to advance further and further, and I'm so glad because, like I said, it's one of my favorite figures, and it's one that I'm thoroughly enjoying the fact that he's getting a long-term look in this tournament. Does he win the tournament? No. I know Series 1 Andre does not win this tournament, but is he a 5th round figure? Yes. Does he make it to the semifinals? Based on matchups, possibly, but more than likely, based on the number of figures in this tournament, highly unlikely. Is he out after 4 rounds? I think more than likely, yes. But a 4th round push is still something I'm excited about. So Andre, 4th rounder. Next matchup is Ken Patera versus White Mesh Brutus Beefcake. So I've always enjoyed this particular figure and it's something I bring up every time when I look at this figure. One, it's both a negative and a positive. So with the original Brutus, you kind of look at his arm positioning. It's a much better playable, fighting pose, right? With the punch and everything. So the way that the arm's position is worse off, but it's different. So that difference makes it a more unique pose. So it does also give it a sort of positive, but it also kind of gives it more of like a cast, like he's got like a broken arm type of deal. So I don't know, it's kind of unique. So that's different. I also like the fact that they also kind of cut out a patch in his leg and gave that little mesh opening. So I really love that aspect. Gave him some really nice shears built into the hand. So overall, a high quality figure. It would have been nice if it was something more colorful than just an all white figure. Like if they had gone with the Hasbro Series 3 design and incorporated, yes, the white pants, but with some black zebra stripes or something. That would have been something, nice. Now, maybe you could do zebra stripes with the mesh opening. So maybe this is, exactly his look, but it's, like I said, it's a fine look. I mean, making it to the third round is a great, for this particular figure, this is a nice run. A third round is an average run for most figures. I mean, depending on what the figure is, a third run is a great run for some figures, where it's a terrible run for other figures. Like, imagine you're a Bob Orton figure, and you make it to round 3. That is a crazy, incredible run for a Bob Orton. Now imagine you're a Series 1 Hulk Hogan, and you're gone after round 3. That is a terrible run. So, it really depends on what the figure is. Ken Patera, I will harp on this every time, because I don't have any history with Ken Patera. As you guys know, I never knew anything about Ken Patera until I started collecting LJNs. I never heard that name before until I started collecting LJNs. So, the only thing I could talk about when I talk about Ken Patera is really his figure. And things that I've talked about, or things that occurred in past tournaments. So, generally, whenever I bring up this figure, it's usually the same information. And that usually revolves around my feelings about the figure and how it's evolved. When I first created this channel back in February, so I created back in February 2022, and I first started posting around the first week of March 2022. So we'll say I've been active since March 2022, and my tournament ended around April, so end of April, early May 2022, I did my least favorite LJN top 10. And I put Ken Patera at number 10, least favorite LJN figure. There's no way Ken Patera is on my top 10 list of least favorite anymore. And this is an awesome, awesome figure. The only downside and the only reason he would have been on my top 10 list is this right here. And based on this pose, Macho Man could have been on that list. One Man Gang could have been on that list. Well, I liked Macho Man as a wrestler, of course. One Man Gang had an awesome look and a bulkiness, so that wasn't happening. I think if things changed, my number 11 choice, which would have been Ricky Steamboat, would have probably moved up. But I thought Ricky Steamboat had a little bit of a better play pose, and that's it. That's the only reason. But between these two figures, I like Ken Patera more, and I am pushing Ken Patera forward to round 4. So think about that. Ken Patera, a couple years ago, my number 10 least favorite LJN figure ever, and in this third tournament, he is now a 4th round selection in the My Favorite LJN tournament. 4th rounder. And I've said it before, any figure that makes it to the 4th round are basically your best of the best type figures. So that just tells you how much my opinion has changed involving this particular figure. This is an awesome piece. I mean, the color, it's just pretty much an all-purple figure. If he had more detail, more color to the figure, it would be more eye-popping. But the thickness, the grip, the bulk of the figure is awesome. His play pose is really the only thing that keeps this from being a more elite figure. Ken Patera and One Man Gang, they would definitely be probably top 20 figures if they had legitimate play poses. Otherwise, they're pretty much hovering around top 30, top 40, I would say. I would probably say more around top 40. Campatera maybe in the top 50, only because color isn't all that, but Campatera, I'm liking his figure a whole lot more nowadays. Last matchup, it is a battle of the Hogans. So 2 Series 5 Hulk Hogans. So here's a question for those viewers, and I don't know if anyone out there knows the answer. So maybe someone born in the 70s, early 80s can answer this question. I just saw this on Facebook probably a week or two ago, and I could be wrong, or maybe they could be wrong. I don't know. But I have both a white shirt and red shirt Hogan, re-released on Black Card, 1989. Got it. But my understanding is both figures are commemorative pieces, released in 1988 on Blue Card in Series 5. And just like many other figures, they were re-released in 1989 in Series 5 or in Series 6 on Black Card with Grand Toys, because Grand Toys, when they acquired LJN, had all of this extra inventory. But according to these folks on the LJN fan page, they I guess they had a red shirt, Blue Card, and somebody said that there was no such thing as a Blue Card Hulk Hogan, that it was a custom. And I'm like, cause I was looking at that Blue Card, I'm like, it looks authentic to me. So what's the deal? Were there no such thing as a white shirt and white shirt and red shirt Hulk Hogan on Blue Card? And because I'm looking for both white and red shirt Hogan on Blue Card, that's like 2 of the figures that I'm missing on mint on card figures. These 2 figures on Blue Card and Blue Shirt Referee. And one of the Bulldogs, I believe Davy Boy, on single card. And I think that's it. And that completes my mint on card collection. Well, among the singles. Tag team is different. I'm missing a few tag teams, but so I'm hoping that someone that watches this knows the truth. Because if I can eliminate this Blue Card, then that helps. I mean, both great figures. I mean, I do list these figures on my top 20, but realistically, Play Pose sucks. I like them a lot because they display great. Graphically speaking, they look amazing. I think I've always enjoyed the white shirt Hogan better. I don't know why, but I just think it just pops more, in my opinion. But I know the red shirt Hogan, for those that are interested, is a more desirable, more valuable figure. If you find an original red shirt Hogan, especially if it's a mint or near mint figure, you're probably going to be paying over $200, around $200 to $250. You find original white shirt Hogan, even something like in this condition, you're probably looking at over $100 to $150 for it. So, I mean, not a whole lot to say about these. Same figure, different paint scheme. I'm going with the white shirt on this one. Neither one of these figures are going to win the tournament, so it doesn't really matter which one you push forward. They both don't have to go to round 4. White shirt's is gonna move on. All right, guys, that is gonna complete round 3-4. As always, thank you so much for watching, and until next time. Goodbye, everybody.